Hey, it's Patrick with Dr. Toppling Guides, and today I want to talk about spreading prio. Priority for most people is understood as you have an advantage in lane, you're able to push the wave. This advantage, by the way, can be temporary, as in you have a slow push at level 3, um, or you are just stronger than them at that time. Um, but for whatever purpose, for whatever reason, we have push, right? And then we're able to move first and do something on the map. This could be helping our jungler contest scuttle. This could be ganking mid in the case of top lane. This is certainly true. This is what priority is. But there's something else about priority that most people don't understand, at least not on a conscious level, and uh, very few people actively utilize and plan for. And it's one of the most important parts about priority. One of the most important parts about priority is that you can use it to get more priority. So what does this mean? Well, let's take, for example, this game, totally even map state, except we're red side in this scenario. Our bot lane is winning, okay? So we crash the wave, and we move mid as support. Now, what does priority get? Well, it gets us an opportunity to gank, right? And that's fine, that's great. In solo queue, we might kill him. Even in pro play, this depending on the situation, depending on what things look like, depending on a lot of different factors, there could totally be a kill. Or there could be summoner spells burned at least, a chunk, whatever. But let's assume that we are a Janna, and we have no amazing setup mid lane, and we just walk, and blue side pings it, and they ward. They do everything correctly. So what does your prio actually do for you? Well, you might think nothing, but let's think about this. What happens when we move mid as this Janna? Well, we still have to back off. Blue side mid laner still has to back off, which means we now have push in mid. So let's assume there's a top side crab. If it's a bot side crab, obviously having bot priority is great. But let's assume we have a top side crab. Well, now we have mid priority, which means we are in a winning situation for the top crab. Even without our support moving, our support can go back, help our AD carry for the rebounding wave. Bot lane loses absolutely nothing, and we now have mid priority off this. So our roam, our gank, however unsuccessful it was successful. We spread prio. You see this all the time in pro play, even if you don't know it. Support might roam. Getting mid priority, massive in pro play. Why is that? Well, because it's closest to everything on the map, so it's going to unlock the ability to get priority in basically any lane. So you see this very often. Support roams, uses that to get mid priority. Three-man invade into potentially three-man invade into jungle, potentially three-man contests over river vision, over dragon, all that good stuff. So that's basically it. You can do the same thing. You can move into top very easily. You can use the mid lane. You can use the mid lane prio we talked about to get top lane control. Or sorry, you can use the mid lane priority to get jungle priority by forcing a jungler out, and then you could use that to get top lane control, just as an example of how a single support is able to spread pressure throughout the entire map with everyone else playing equally, having equal matchups, just by having that winning bot lane. You're able to get priority all over the entire map without having to commit, for example, an entire roam from the support, right? Which would give up CS bot, it would give up priority bot. You're just trading bot priority for top priority in this example, again, assuming there's no kills. But this method of moving mid, using that to get priority, using the mid priority to get jungle priority, using the jungle priority to get top priority, this is a much more stable way of spreading your advantage, much more surefire. And remember, at every situation here, we're kind of ganking, right? So there's a potential for a kill in every single scenario. There's the potential to get these advantages. But even if we don't, we're still getting an advantage at every point. Which brings me to one more little part about priority. How many times have you seen this happen? Now we're blue side, just to make things confusing. We are getting shoved in. We are a matchup that gets shoved in. Or maybe we're topside, maybe we're melees, just to make this even more confusing. Maybe we shove them in, melee versus melee matchup, and now the wave rebounds because it's level 3, and that's what happens. The wave is rebounding, and now you don't have priority, even though you were in the matchup that was able to get priority early. It's past the 3.5 minute mark, and we're well pushed in a rebound, right? Jungle, back to bot. Jungle decides that they want to go for the crab anyway. They say, hey, well, this seems like a good idea. My bot lane's here, my mid lane's here. None of them have priority, but I'm gonna go for the crab anyway. And then they fight, and then bot lane rotates just a little bit sooner because they have priority. Of course they did. And your jungle dies. Well, what can you do, jungler, when your noob teams are constantly not getting priority? Well, here's a novel idea. What's a good way to get someone priority? Gank for them. And because the scuttle is on the same side of the map as the lane that you need priority in to get that scuttle, by default, obviously, what you can do instead is take these people who are pushing, because again, it's the enemy team that has priority, you move, and instead of trying to do a deep invade or something like that, or contest scuttle, you gank, you get bot lane priority for yourself, and then you do the scuttle. And if you get an uncontested scuttle, then you've gotten your bot priority, and they don't have to move because it's uncontested. If there is a scuttle contest, then the enemy jungle wastes as much time as you spent on the gank. Again, assuming the gank doesn't get anything. So you've wasted your time, and your bot is in a similar or better situation to before. If it's uncontested, then your bot has priority, and you spent the time to get your bot priority, but you got scuttle, so you're in a fine situation as well. All of this with the chance of getting a kill from a gank. So that would be probably the biggest takeaway from this video. If you're just a ordinary solo queue player, for the love of God, if you play jungle and you go for crab and there's a priority problem, just gank the lane first. 90% of the time, that's going to be the right play to do. The rest of you who aren't playing jungle, please, the only lesson you need to take away from this, please remember, if you get ganked and it's an unsuccessful gank, if your jungler decides that they want to gank for you mid and they're not going to get the kill, and they spend their time to gank mid, use your prio to at least get that free uncontested push that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten, and then move and go do something. Get a deep ward, go get priority for another lane. Be very cognizant of when your teammates are giving you pressure, or sorry, giving you priority, and use that priority to actually do something. You don't need to be the one making priority for your teammates because most of the time they're just going to throw it away anyway. But yeah, those are the two takeaways. Please, if you're a jungler, try to gank the lane first and before you take scuttle, and if you are a laner who gets gifted some priority, do something with it. And hopefully next time you watch pro play, you'll notice a little bit of this prio spreading, which is just all too common. All right, hope you learned something. Peace.